Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the next video. So in this video we are going to discuss about an off-campus coding question which is actually asked in one of the MNC companies. So the name of the problem is saddle points in 2D array. So basically this was a little tricky question and I can't say like it's easy. Okay, so if you know the proper methods, then of course it is easy, right? So it is not that much easy guys. We need to use some loops over here and some logic. Okay, so if you are preparing for any off-campus interview or off-campus coding assessment, then I highly suggest you to visit this website, guys. So basically, you can see Easy actually, and it has got a lot of recent posts. You can see hacker coding question, hacker rank coding question, SHL coding question. So basically, each and every coding question which is actually asked in the examination, like this, I have included the screenshot of each question. So these are not just the questions which are like model questions, guys. So these questions are actually asked in the recruitment, and those questions I have taken the screenshot from Telegram group I have taken and from some friends I have collected, and I have created this website where you will be having a good collection of off-campus coding questions. So you can see this is the first screenshot and this is the continued part of the coding question, and after that I have given the explanation for this one. So the same thing I am going to explain today, like how to solve this one. And if you want to read it much carefully, so if you want to read it completely, then you can visit this website, guys. So link is there in the description. Of course you can just visit. So today I'm going to show you how to solve this one. So this is the same question, guys, the screenshot I have taken, right? So I'll just zoom in and start reading this one so that you will come to understand. Okay, so here you can see, I think I should zoom in a little more. Okay, so now you'll be able to see, right? So write a program that will search for the saddle points in a 5 cross 5 array of integers. So basically we have given an array which is 5 cross 5, means 5 rows and 5 columns. So that is basically a two-dimensional array. A saddle point is a cell whose value is greater than or equal to any other cell in its row. So basically a saddle point is something which is having a value greater than or equal to any other cell in its row. So when you compare in row, that particular point's value should be greater than or equal to any other value which is falling in the same row. So that is first condition. And less than or equal to any other cell in its column. That means the value of that particular point should be less than any other value in that column. In the sense, whenever you see the example, you'll come to understand. So for now, just understand this. We need to find the saddle point. Fine. So there may be more than one saddle points in the array. The program will print the coordinates of the saddle points, if any. So if there is any saddle point, or if there are any saddle points, you need to print the coordinates. Coordinates in the sense row, comma, column you have to print. The program will print no saddle points if there are no saddle points. So if there is no saddle point available in the program, then you have to print no saddle points. As it is, you have to print, guys. Okay, so for example, now you just see this one. For the input provided as follows: 0, 1, 1, 1. So these are the 5 elements present in first row. So these are the 5 elements. 8, 9, 11, 12, 3 are the 5 elements present in second row. 10, 11, 12, 13, 4. These are the 5 elements present in third row. Similarly, fourth row and fifth row. So also column wise, if you see 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So this is a 5 cross 5 matrix, or in the sense a 5 cross 5 array, I can say. Okay, so array consisting of 5 rows and 5 columns. Okay, the output of the program will be 1 comma 5. So 1 in the sense row and 5 in the sense column. So first row is this one and fifth column is 2. So basically the saddle point is 2, that is it should be greater than any element in the row. So now let us check. So 2 is greater than 0, yes. 2 is greater than 1, yes. 2 is greater than again 1, yes. 2 is greater than 1, yes. So row condition it has satisfied. Now check in the column. That means it should be greater than every fifth element in other rows. So 2 is greater than this 3. It should be less than or equal to. So 2 is less than 3, correct. 2 is less than 4, correct. 2 is less than 5, correct. 2 is less than 10, correct. So like this you have to check, guys. So let me just explain it once. Okay, so if you understood this, then only you will understand the code. Okay guys, so this is the answer. I'll just mark it in the red. Fine. So this is the answer, guys, and it should be greater than or equal to any other element in the row. So 2 is greater than, first element in the row is 0, so 2 is greater than 0, correct. Then 1 is there, 2 is greater than 1, correct. Again 1 is there, 2 is greater than 1, correct. Again 1 is there, 2 is greater than 1. So you should not compare 2 with itself, so that will throw an, I mean this is not the correct way, so you should not compare 2 with itself. Okay, so the row condition has been satisfied. Now I have to check for the column condition. So how to check that one? Again, take 2 is less than or equal to. So the fifth, this is the fifth element, and I have to compare with the fifth element of each and every row. So this is the fifth element, this is the fifth element, and this is the fifth element, and this is the fifth element. So these are the elements which I need to compare my 2. Okay, so I mean anything you can just compare, right? So 2 is less than 3, yes, correct. Then 2 is less than 4, correct. Then 2 is less than 5, correct, check. 2 is less than 10, check. So it is satisfying both row and column condition. So that's why the output is this one. So now I will show you, I'll just consider anything like, okay. So I will consider this particular element. So 12 should be greater than this one. So 12 is greater than 8, correct. 12 is greater than 9, correct. 12 is greater than 11, correct. And 12 is greater than 3. So row condition it is satisfying. Now come to the column condition. 12 is less than or equal to so 12 should be greater, 12 should be less than these things. So 12 is less than 12, no, it is not less than, so it is equal to. So 12 is less than 24, no, it is not. So 12 is less than 24, this is fine, and 12 is 24. Like in this point itself it is failing, right? So that's why this is not the output, and I'll just consider something like anything. Let me just okay, so for this I have to check another condition, guys. So 12 is less than 2, so I have to check for this element as well. It is not less than 2, so that's why it is not, it is failing, guys. Okay, so this is just a failing condition. I mean, if you have doubt like why I'm taking, why it is only this one, okay, so I'll just take another point and I'll cross check that one. Let me just consider this one. Okay, so here in row itself it is falling, right? So 4 should be greater than 10, it is failing itself, so that's why it is not. So if row is failing, then no need to check for column. And if I consider this one, it should be less than, it should be greater than. So 1 is greater than 0, 1 is less than or equal to 1, 1 is less than or equal to 1, but 1 is less than 2, so here it is failing. So that's why only the possible saddle point will be 2 in this particular case. So this is the first test case, guys. Now let me just move ahead and try to show you the second test case as well, so that you'll come to understand it properly. Okay, so I think this is somewhere over here. So this is the second test case, guys, and I'll just zoom in. Okay, so in this second test case, you can see this is the first row, second row, third row, fourth row, and fifth row. So here no element is satisfying both the row as well as column conditions. So that's why the output should be no saddle points in this case. Okay, so now I hope you understood the problem completely. Now I'll just explain you the approach, guys. After that I'll start writing the code directly. So what will be our approach? Okay, so particularly I will be using 4 for loops here. The first for loop, inside that second for loop. Okay, so I mean I'll just draw like this so that you can understand. Okay, guys, so there will be totally, this is the first for loop. For what I am writing, for to iterate through the elements. So to iterate through each and every row I will be using this one. So to iterate through rows I will be using this red for loop. After that, to iterate through each and element of this row, so to iterate through all the columns we will be using outer for loop. To iterate through all the elements of a row we will be using inner for loop. So this is again a inner for loop. Now to check the row conditions we will be using one for loop. Okay, so and to check the column conditions we will be using another for loop. So totally outer for loop, after that inner for loop. Inside that inner for loop there will be 2 for loops again. So one to check the row conditions and one to check the column conditions. So at the end I will be using inside this row itself one if condition. So this if condition will be used to check whether both the row conditions and column conditions are satisfied by a particular one single element. If it is satisfying all these two conditions, then only I'm going to print it. So I'm going to print it. Otherwise, outside this both the for loops, I'll be using another one to check whether it's a no saddle points output. So in order to do that one, I'll be using one counter and I'll be initializing it to 0. So if it is exactly equal to 0 after executing all these things, that means there is no saddle point present in the given array. So that's why I will be printing no saddle points. So this is the basic structure how I will be writing the program, guys. So exactly the same thing I will be following. Okay. So now I hope you understood like what is the code and how to do it. Now let us erase this thing completely and I'll go to the Eclipse and start writing the code. But before that, you should understand that I'll be taking these inputs and you just want to read it once again, then you can absolutely visit this website, guys. Okay, so now let me just go over here and I'll just zoom in a little. Okay, so yes, that's fine I think, and now I will start writing the code. So I already created one empty project so that I can write a code over there. Okay, so I'll start importing the statement. So packages I will import java.util.star. So this is the first thing, and after that I need to take the array, right? So I will write int. So this is basically to take the array input. So I will name it as array1, and 5 arrays I need to take 5 rows and 5 columns. So 5 empty braces I will create. So I think it's now 1 2 3 4 and 5. Okay, so now I will start adding the elements inside this one, guys. So I will take the elements from here itself. Okay, so like from here I'll be taking the elements. So the same things I'm going to enter, 0 1 1 1 and all those things are there, right? So the same thing, first one is 0 3 1 2. So the first thing will be 0 comma 1 comma 1 comma 1 comma 2. So 0 3 1 2 I have taken and I have already noted down. So I will start entering 8 comma 9, after that 11, then 12, then 3. Okay, so this is it for the second column or the second row. After that 10, then 11, then 12, then 13 and 14. So these are the next elements. Okay, so after that I'm having 22, then 23, then 24 and 25 and 5. So these are the 4th row elements, and in 6th row 26 is there, 26, 27, 28, 29 and 10. 26, 27, 28, 29 and 10. So 2, 4 and 5. Okay, fine. So this is the complete matrix. So this matrix I have taken, guys, there. So in the form of a array like this we have to take. Fine. So once you have taken this array, now let me just declare some variables which we will be using. Fine. So I'll be using two flags here, boolean, and flag 1 is equal to, first I will make them as false, and then boolean flag 2 equal to false. Okay, so two variables I have used, and after that I will use one counter. So int counter is equal to 0. This is basically I'll be using in future, so that's why I'm declaring. Now I will start writing the outer for loop, guys. So for int I is equal to 0, then I should be less than array1, so dot length, array1 dot length and I plus plus. So this is the outermost for loop. Inside this for loop I will be having another for loop. So this is basically iterating through all these rows, guys. So it will be starting from first row and it will be going up to the 5th row. And now to iterate through the elements of this row, that is 0 1 1 1 2, then 8 9 11 12 13. So like this I have to iterate through all the elements of the row, right? So that's why I'll be using inner for loop. So for this I'll be writing, I'll use another thing like int j is equal to 0. J should be less than array1 of I, that is first row. It will be starting from, when I is equal to 0, it will count the length of this first row and it will be iterating through that one. So whenever it goes to second row, it will find out the length of the second row, it will iterate through that length. So like this we have to write array1 of I means array1 of first row in the initial conditions. Dot length here you have to write, and here I will be writing j plus plus. Fine. So this is the inner for loop, guys. Now to check the row condition, so I can write one statement here to check row conditions. I will be writing this for loop. So I will write for, and here I have to again, my loop should start from 0 and it should run up to the length of this loop. Okay, so length of this row. So k will be starting from 0 and k should be less than again length of the row. That means array1 of I dot length and k plus plus I have to do. So this is to basically check the row conditions, guys. Now once you have written this much, okay, so here I will be writing one if condition. So what the element should be greater than any other element in the row, right? So what I can do is array1 now. Here whatever the thing is like, so the rows will be constant. I have to keep one row constant and I have to iterate through the other elements, right? So what I can write is basically, just see here, so my row will be constant, so I will be constant and j will also be constant. The only changing parameter inside will be k. So for that what I will be writing, if array1 of I comma j, let us say you are, just imagine that you are pointing to this element itself. Here you are at this position. That means I will be equal to 0 and j will be equal to 4. Okay, so because the length is 5 and the maximum row value will be 5 minus 1, that is 4. So here I have to check whether this is greater than, this 2 is greater than any other element in the row. So if I am considering this one, this should be greater than these two things and these two things. If I consider this one, this should be greater than this thing and this thing. So like this I have to check. If I consider this one, I have to check whether it is greater than the first two elements and last two elements. So like this we have to compare the present element with each and every element in the same row. So for that what I will do, if array1 of I comma j is greater than or equal to array1 of the same row, I will be there in the same row itself, but I have to change the columns here. So in order to change the columns, I will be using k variable. So here only k will be changing, so it will be pointing to 2. 2 is greater than 0, it will check. Again the column will change to 1. 2 is greater than 1, it will check. 2 is greater than again 1, check. 2 is greater than 1, check. So like this, until and unless this loop gets executed, it will be checking all the elements until this. So once you executed this thing, then you are good to go to the next thing. Okay, so if this is true, what I want to do is basically, so if it is true, then also I should not check with the same. I cannot check like 2 is equal to 2 or something like that. So in that way I will be writing another condition where j should not be equal to k. That means I should not compare 2 is equal to 2 or not. So if I compare that one, then always it will give true. So that's why this is very important, guys. Just make it clear and just write that one. J should not be equal to k. That means I should not compare the element with itself. Okay, so once you have written this much, then okay, fine. Then if it is true, then flag 1 will be equal to true. I'll turn it true because it is satisfying all the conditions of the row. Fine, so this is how I'll be checking the row conditions, guys. Okay, once you are done with this one, okay, so if it is for a true condition, if it is failing, what I have to do? If it is failing, then inside this I have to write one else condition, and inside this else again I have to take if, because I have to check if j is equal to k. If j is equal to k, at that moment I need not to do anything because it is comparison of the element with itself. So if I don't want to do anything, then I will be writing continue. So if I write continue, then it will skip the current iteration. Else I will be having one thing here. So if it is not true, then I should not make it as true. I have to keep the flag as false itself. So like this I will write, so that the flag will be kept false. So flag 1 will be equal to I have to change it to false because it is not satisfying the condition. So if the row conditions are failing here, so at the end it will be making my flag equal to false. Fine. So once you are done with this thing, guys, okay, so that's why I said these programming questions are like, it's a 1 hour question, guys, and it was asked in I think like Infosys or Accenture, I don't know, but yes, it was a tough coding question and you have to digest this one. Fine, so you just need to think, guys. Okay, so just read the question carefully and start writing the answer. So this is not the only way. You can write another code, or this is working fine, but if you can just take idea from this one. There is no rule that you have to write the same code. Okay, you can modify however you want this one. Okay, guys, fine. So flag 1 equal to false. Up to this I have written. Now I will go to the next condition, that is if the flag 1 equal to false execute, that means it is not satisfying the row conditions. So if it is not satisfying the row condition, then there is no need to check for other elements. So that's why you have to break the loop here so that it will not consume the CPU time. Okay, so this is how we will be writing the code for the row conditions. Now it's time to write for the columns as well. So here I will come and to check column conditions. So now to check the column conditions, same loop I will be writing as it is, the same thing whatever I have written here. So the same thing I'll be writing here, guys. Just see how I am writing. Okay, so for I will be writing like, sorry, inside this I have to write k is done, then I will take L. For int L is equal to 0 and L should be less than array 1 dot length. So and L plus plus I have to write. So L plus plus. So why I am writing this one, guys? To basically iterate through the each and every element of the columns. So here I am having 2, right? So this 2 has to be compared with 3, then it has to be compared with 4, and this has to be compared with 5, again with 10. So here the column will be fixed. It will be at the 4th column itself, but the row will be changing. Initially it is at 0th row, then 1st row, then 2nd row, then 3rd row, then 4th row. So in this I have to write the opposite of the, this loop is for iterating through the rows. So I just need to write opposite. So how I can write? I am writing from L is equal to 0 I have to start and up to length minus 1. That means I have to iterate through all the rows. Here I will be keeping my row constant and I will be changing the columns. How I can do that one? You just see here. So if I will write inside this if, okay, so array 1 of, I have to keep the column row constant, right? So column constant. Okay, so in order to keep column constant, I will say if I comma j. So if it is pointing to 2 now, if this is less than or equal to array 1 of, my column will be constant and row will be changing. So first we write row. So row is basically L here. So L should be changing and my column should be constant. So column is basically j. So that's why I will write like this. So here the L will be changing, that means 0th row 4th column, 0th row and 1st row 4th column, 2nd row 4th column, 3rd row 4th column, because it is written inside the j, I mean j loop. Second loop is jth loop, so it is inside this one. So that's why until and unless this L gets executed, j will not change. So that's why I have written like this. And after that again I have to avoid the comparison of the number with itself. So that's why j should not be equal to L I have to write. Okay, so once you have written this much, then you are done with pretty much things, guys. So here if it is true, that means all the column conditions are satisfied this by particular element. So I'll make it, I'll make the flag as true. Okay, so fine, I'll make, okay, flag equal to true, and I have to go for another condition as well, same as it is, and inside this I have to check if j is equal to L. If it is true, then don't do anything, just continue, else make flag 2 equal to false. That means don't make it true because it is not satisfying the conditions. Okay, so this much I have written, guys. Now the last part will be, so here I have to break because it is failing in the column condition. So if one condition fails, then no need to check for any other thing. Okay guys, so once you have written this much, then yes, you are in the last phase of the code, and now this is the place where both the loops are ending, like so here the break is there, after that it ends here, then this else ends here, then the for loop ends here. So inside this I have to check both row and column conditions. I will be writing one if loop here, or else I can say if statement. So if flag 1 and flag 2, so this is basically flag 1 equal to true and flag 2 equal to true. So in short we'll be writing like this. Don't get confused. Like this is similar to if flag 1 is equal to true. So like this also I can write, guys. There is no there is no mistake if I write like this. So this is just a shortcut formula. Like it will be taking always true. If flag 1 is equal to true and flag 2 equal to true, I can write like this also, or else I can just remove this one and I will be writing like this only. So this means if flag 1 is true and flag 2 is true, then only it will enter this loop. So here one more thing what I need to do is basically to return the coordinates. I have to make one thing sure, because in matrix the always numbering starts from 1, because 1th row, 2nd row, 3rd row and 4th row, but inside the array the numbering is starting from 0. So that's why whenever I am returning the coordinates, I have to return +1. So what I can do is basically I will take one local variable int result1, and I have to return this row value. So I will add 1 to it, because the numbering is starting from 0. So that's why I have to add 1. I hope you understood. And result2 is equal to j plus 1 I have to write, because column and row both are starting from 0, but in real matrix they are starting from 1. Fine. So after that I will write one statement, system.out.println, and here I will be writing something like this. The result 1, that is call row number, and after that I have to concatenate with comma, and yes, here I will write result 2. Okay, so after this I have to use this counter, because at the end I want to check whether there are saddle points present or not. If there is no saddle point present, then I have to print only that is no saddle points present. Actually I'll show you like what is the problem without writing this one first. So I'll just delete this thing, guys. Okay, so I've deleted that one, and I'll just make the flags again, and that means I've reset the flags. Flag 1 equal to false and flag 2 equal to false, because for checking with the next element they should not give wrong output. So that's why for just safety I'm again resetting the flags to false itself. So that's it, and now if I run this thing, then you will be getting the output. Let me just show you. So I'll just run this thing and console. So you can see 1, 5 is the output for this one, and I'll go over here, and I think here it's okay. So the question, the answer for this one, you can see 1, 5. So for this particular test case, the answer is 1, 5, and it is exactly matching with my answer. You can see the console here, 1, 5 in the same format I am printing. Okay guys, so this is for the first condition. Now the problem comes whenever you are trying to execute the second condition. So how the problem is coming, I'll just show you. Okay, so the next elements are 19, 18, 16. So I'll just take a okay, so I'll change here itself. Okay, now in order to show you the second test case, what I will do is basically okay, I will copy this thing, guys, Control C and paste it here. Just comment this one so that it will not take it again, and I have to replace these elements. So what are the elements? 19, 18, 16, 15, 12. So 19, 18, then 16, then 15, then 12. So these are the elements of the first row. I can delete this one. 10, okay, so 11, 10, 10, 10, 9. So 11, 10, 10, 10 and 9. So these are the elements of the second row. Okay, delete the third row, that is previous row I'm deleting. 3, 9 and 8, 8. So 1, 2, 3, 8, 8. So 3, 9 and 2, 8. Fine. So after that delete this thing. Here you can see 7, 6, 7, 6, 6. So 7, 6, 7, 6, 6. 2, 4, 5. Okay, fine. So now to take the last row 4, 6 and 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 7. So these are the elements, guys. So for this, what is the expected output, guys? Expected output is only one time I have to print the no saddle points present. That means I have to print no saddle points. Okay. So how I can do that one? Okay. So here what we'll be doing generally, if this is true, then I have to do this thing. Else, if it is failing, then I have to print sys out. Here I will print like no saddle points, and note that this will not give me the correct answer, guys. Just to show you why I have to use the counter, I'm making this mistake. Intentionally I'm writing like this. Don't think like I'm writing wrong, so I have intentionally made it wrong. Okay, so this is the code, right? So now if I run this one, I just want one time no saddle points present, and you just observe what is the output. So I'll just run this thing and I'll go to the console where it is here. Okay, so now you can see how much times, how many times it is printing. So each and every time it is iterating the loop, it is printing no saddle points, no saddle points and no saddle points. So this is not a good idea to write the code. So here I need to change in this loop because it is not giving me the satisfactory output. So now what I just thought is I'll just use one counter. Okay, so that counter I will initialize it to 0. Fine. So whenever there is at least one saddle point, I will make counter increase by one time. So I will write counter plus plus. If I write like this, what will be happening is basically at the end of this complete loop execution, that is outer loop, here it will be ending, right? So when this complete loop executes, if there are any saddle points present, then it will be having that the counter value will be increased. So at the end, what I want to do is I'll just check if counter is exactly equal to 0. That means it has not changed a single time. That means there was no saddle point present in the given input. So at that moment only I have to print this thing. So control X and control V. So and else condition is not required. So I'll just delete this thing up. So now if I save and run this thing, it should work fine for me. And I'll just show you the output. So you can see only one time it is printing because after executing this complete loop I'm checking now. So this is how we'll be solving the problem, guys, and I think you just like it. Fine. So and for this also it has to work fine. Okay, so I'll just keep this one and delete this one. That means the second case. Okay, so for this I'll run and let me just show you the output. Okay, so you can see it is working fine. Again 1,5 is the output. So like this you can solve the off-campus coding question, guys, and basically if you want this code, then it is there in my website. You can just see over here. So this is the code, the same code I have uploaded there. So if you just click on this watch now also, you will come to the same video whatever I am recording now. So I'm basically integrating both the things. Fine. So I hope you like this video, guys, and if you want to learn more kind of these coding questions, see I have included one segment here. So this basically lot of questions I have solved. If you click on this one, then you can see this is again one hacker coding question. So again with the screenshot you can see a long coding. These are not just a simple questions, guys. They are from hacker rank, and then Meti question, that is from those platforms, right? So see how much code, lengthy codes are there. And yes, I have written a lot of codes, guys. Maximum work hacker problem. So like this I just want to help you guys with this thing, and you can see each and every post which I have written includes a screenshot which is taken at the real time. So you can see here, so this is the Lapis screenshot where we have taken, like, it was the examination and we have taken that one, right? So I have solved this one and I have given complete steps, whatever explanation I am giving. So that explanation also I have written algorithm to solve, After that, Java code. So this is the code which is working fine, right? So the same code which I write here, I'll be uploading there. So like this, you will be having n number of posts there, guys. So just please visit this one. The link is there in the description. Alright, guys. So I hope you understood this one, and thank you, guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Have a nice day.